Yes.
Yeah, she's in the
So, yes.
2-2.
So towards the bottom, it says a new account, 14 new GOB for
Mhm.
for 85,000.
Yeah, actually, that should say 15.
Okay, because I was
Yeah.
trying to match up with last year, and
It should be 15.
okay.
So those bonds are, did we bond the mobile station?
No,
All right,
the
so
mobile
that's-
station is temporary
Those-
financing.
So I'm also a little bit confused about that.
Okay.
Why we're bonding
Okay.
740,000. I thought
the
I
money's
had
there.
read in the paper that we were getting a grant from the state for 740,000.
For the mobile
For what?
station.
I didn't-
Love that.
Okay, so
I know. I thought that was good
with-
news when I read it in the paper. Maybe it was misreported or I misremembered.
Misremembered, maybe.
Okay.
But I thought we were getting a grant from the state to look into.
I don't think we got the grant. I think they always say our hopes are to apply for grants for whether it was brownfield remediation or,
Right.
you know, and there is money for that.
Yeah, I don't even
but
recall
they
that,
didn't go any further.
But you know, we had it was a referendum. It was approved by the taxpayers. Purchased the mobile station for $675,000. The remaining amount was for studies, environmental, etc. The taxpayers approved that with clean environmental reports. And
So how long
this is
does
the
that sit there?
impasse. It's been 3 years.
No, I mean, but is there some protocol with?
I mean, we're never going to use it because it looks like it died when the previous administration they did some of the
study.
environmental study and figured it was too much of a risk.
There's still discussion. It's not too much of a risk as
Didn't
much
they
as
sell
who's
it
going to
to another
report
owner?
it. No, they haven't
I
sold
thought
it
that
yet.
was a
There's
done
still.
deal.
Okay.
Oh,
I
sorry?
thought that was done. I didn't think
Yeah.
they were,
No.
they scrapped that.
The environmental studies were done, and there were things that were found, and there's a negotiation between the current owners and the town as to, well, we can't buy it until it's clean. Where are we? We actually have DEEP on this right now, trying to make a decision on
Apply for a
this.
joint grant with the owner and the applicant. Go in for a brownfield grant.
Maybe, because there's a new round of that coming up, so
Yeah.
maybe.
So we're still going to buy that for $600,000 if they clean it.
Maybe.
And
Maybe.
and I guess I got to go back to the question that the chairman asked. How long does that stay
Right.
up in the air?
Yeah.
Right.
When is it time for somebody to say, okay, let's cancel that?
Yeah.
Or at what point do you have to go back? I mean, obviously, it went to referendum, people voted on it, but at what point in time do you have some obligation to go represent and say? Yeah.
It's subjective. There's no, we don't. I've asked Attorney O'Connell that, and statutorily, there's nothing there that says once it's been approved. I mean, how long do we have to
Right.
close the deal? The deal is still on the table. There is still negotiation. In fact, there's a meeting this calendar week with DEEP to talk about environmental cleanup, whether it's even possible.
If I were looking into a loan for $740 million,
Thousand.
my credit score would get affected. Does that affect our bond rating? Does it affect anything that people look at?
So every time we go and have debt authorized, we do official statements, and we list it as authorized but unissued debt. And it remains there until we would bring it before the Board of Selectmen and have them remove the authorized but unissued debt from.
But we borrowed short-term, so that money's sitting in a
We-
reserve account somewhere.
For this, when we went and did short-term financing in July of 2014, we did do short-term financing for that particular issue, and those notes mature in July. And at that time, in July of 2015. So at that time, if the purchase has not occurred, we will have to make the decision as to whether or not we want to roll those notes over or we want to pay them off.
So we already have the money
We do.
sitting in an account.
We do.
Yeah, and is there any discussion on, given the times we're in, at what point, even though 3 years ago we had everybody say buy it and went to vote, And I mean, to me, like you say, it's subjective, where you say, all right.
Yeah, I
Is
mean, you know, it is a subject. At the time, it was maybe it was only 3 years ago. We're kind of guessing at that. It was the most sought off, the most important piece of property downtown, and that's been talked about for 20 years as being the most important image builder downtown. The Main Street. I mean, I was just at a Main Street. Not a fundraiser, but a gathering, and they were showing the before and after pictures of the downtown, the sidewalks, the planters that were decrepit, the holes in the sidewalk, and then they were showing the after, the brick and the street lamps and the new planters, and what a difference. And it was only a couple of years ago that it looked horrible down there compared to what it looks like now, and we can't step too far away from the fact that's a property that has a lot of potential. When we're talking about economic development and we're talking about the image of our small downtown and what it stands for and who we are and all the money and the time and the energy that's been put into the boardwalk and the hole in the wall parking lot and all the state grants and the streetscapes and the municipal parking and the building that's going on downtown, restaurants and a new building, a mixed-use building. We don't want to lose sight of how important that piece is. Is it worth $675,000 in this economy in this day and age? To grass it over and make it a park? I'm not sure. Okay, not to anyone but us. That's for sure. But do you want it to be a smoke shop where our kids can walk in and buy things that we don't want them to buy? It's already in a disrepair, that building, and from what I understand, they can't put more tanks in the ground. It can't become another gas station. So what does it become? The only way we can control that property is if we own it. And that's what the taxpayers said, overwhelmingly, 3-1.
Is that where the train station used to be years ago?
Yes.
Okay,
No,
so
a little where the
Yes.
Constantine parking lot is.
Well, yes,
Little
it's to the
off.
right of that actual building. That building wasn't the train station, but that property was where the train
And
station
allegedly,
was.
though I don't think anyone ever found it, but they did the title search for it, the tunnel that used to go under the road from the Morton House
Right.
to the beach. Go under the
What was
tracks.
that?
There was a tunnel.
There was actually a hole in the wall there.
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
filled in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is there some vision for that to be turned into a train station again? Is
Not that's if you've read the paper, and you have because you made a statement about it in other articles, there is talk about a train station study that the state has in the budget, perhaps giving us money to look into a train station, part of Governor Malloy's big transportation vision.
which could be located anywhere then at this point? It's a
It's
study
floating
to...
study.
Okay.
The thought would be more down the tracks near Hole in the Wall, or even at Rocky Neck State Park, where there's plenty of parking and plenty of land there. It wouldn't be an economic boom to the downtown, but it would be servicing East Limers. So not there. You need lots of parking. You need lots of space, and now with accessibility, handicap accessible needs, you need to have elevators, and it just wouldn't work there. That would be more suited for visitor information, for additional parking, or putting the Veterans Park there with a big flagpole or band concert, band shell area, or just public space.
Would it be larger than the current green that we have?
It's a different shape.
Yeah.
It depends on where you define
What is
the
it, like a
boundary.
third
Does
of
it
an
go all
acre?
the way to the Village Pizza? Does it go all the way to the Mitchell's
Oh,
parking
yeah,
lot?
off
But
the road and make it big
yeah,
green.
it's about it might be bigger, but it's longer.
What is it, a third? Isn't
But-
it about a third of an acre?
Yeah.
Or more. Yeah, it might just be that.
Okay.
I know.
Well, I mean,
so
it's
it's on
like
the
I said,
table. It is
yeah.
what it is. I think we do have to make a decision in July. I've told the building owner that. I came in January, said, and by the way, discussions were already undergoing. There was a live folder on the desk when I showed up. The DEP is involved. They're coming down. They want to make a decision on this for the current owner or us, what they're going to do and what they're going to demand for cleanup and what they're going to say, you know what,
I don't think
let's
any
go
of us
forward and cap it kind of thing. So, but we're on a debt service interest discussion right now,
Sorry.
not a train station. I apologize for going up.
No, that's fine. Like I say, we
Yeah.
saw it on there,
Yeah.
so clearly it's money that's sitting there. I don't think any of us will purport to be experts in market value, but yeah, I think with that
Certainly
kind of
not me.
elapsed time, it's certainly worthy of, if it comes up,
I know.
what do we do to
Yes.
test the waters again? But that's fine. Does anybody else have any questions on principal or interest?
Quick question for you, Anna. What's the average cost of funds for us? Is there an average number that you could give us?
Short term,
Just the average cost of
2.25.
what's our average interest rate that we're paying on all these obligations?
You know what, 2.25, 2.5.
Okay. Thank you.
The debt service of the budget went up, but you can't control that. It was like 4%.
It went down 4%.
No, it went up. The pie's getting
No,
bigger.
It went up this year because, primarily
The interest?
taking on the
Yeah, we got that from
water
that
projects.
regional water
the
connect.
water
But
project.
we're still amortizing about $4 million in principal, so I think when we convert that to a graph, we're going to see a little trend down before we hit the next major capital
When we
project.
look at our debt management plan every year, we try to, our goal is to keep our annual principal and interest payments somewhere between $5 and $6 million, and we're still within that range.
Now, is that number more a function of our grand list, or what?
Policy.
Yeah, what's the?
When we started looking at bringing on more projects, we were between $5 and $6 million,
Right.
and so we targeted staying within that range.
Yeah, I just didn't
to
know
keep,
if there was something of.
to keep a level line, considering the taxpayers, just to keep it level
Right.
in the budget. That's what.
Whereas I
we
would think
set
if
our-
your grand list is growing, which ours unfortunately isn't, that somewhere it creates the sometimes need or opportunity to do other capital projects. But that's fine. Any other questions? Okay, we'll close that and go to our long-range capital plan. I think everybody just got an updated sheet on that.
Do we go through every line here? How do we do this?
You and I do it once a month, but
Yeah.
Normally we go through categories,
We'll go through categories.
and the particular thing that is drawn to our attention is on page 5, where funding sources, so we understand the color codes.
That's really important
Yeah.
because some of this is affecting our budget. Some of this is
Right.
yeah,
is,
some of it's
is-
bonding, the Board of
is
Ed's in
capital
there
that
for
we've already
workshop.
invested in and obligated ourselves to. So I guess one at a time. The most important one is the one you start with that we're going to start with tonight. And that's the reval. That's a project that has to happen this next year. That's a project we have not funded for over the last several years. Money's been pulled from this line. The goal was, let's put 50 away every year. Well, that didn't happen. So we're looking at a $202,000 price tag. Some of it happened. Don't get me wrong. Some of it
Last
happened.
year.
Has the
Last
state
year we-
put off
Yeah.
the date at all? I know it by statute it went from
Not to
10
my
to 4
knowledge.
to,
No,
okay.
I think
Okay,
All
so
right.
we're on that. Yes, there is some money tucked away, but in
Yeah.
recent years, sometimes we've foregone
Yeah,
putting
I
money
think we put
here.
87,000 in it last year, is it?
We have a total of
We did cut it last year.
Total of 92,000.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
92 in there. We need 202 more to
No.
pay the bill.
Have you talked to Waterford about doing the same type thing?
I have not, but I intend to, and I would imagine that they'd be on board too. I think we all saved a couple
Right.
shillings. Next is tax collector, nothing. Engineering, do they have the $4,000 figure?
No, that's, this is the last one that the CIP committee
Right.
did. The Board of Selectmen made a reduction there.
So you cut, what, 1,000 out?
We cut $1,000 out of the CNRE.
Okay.
Townwide department replacement of computers and servers, that's an ongoing cost of $15,000. It's hardly the number we need, but it's it's adequate. New phone system acquisition program, $6,300. I'll keep going to, we're staying on the 15, 16, not looking at the out years right now. Certainly can stop me. The conversion to the registrar of voters, they have to go to an electronic voting check-in, and that is going to be a $7,600 system that we're going to be purchasing in a couple of years. Right now, there's all sorts of new things coming through with voting that they're going to have to put in fax lines, and they're going to have to put in phone lines just for that one day. And the cost to do this with Frontier is 3 times the cost that it cost with AT&T when they were in business here. So there was some adjusting and concern, but we're handling it right now. The concern is the prices are going to, the cost of that is going to really pop up in the next couple of years to run an election. So we'll watch for that. Going down to building maintenance, we're going to bring in natural gas to the East Lyme Community Center. They bring in the line to the building, but we need to bring it around the building and then convert our furnace to natural gas, and that cost is $50,000. But the cost of bringing the line in is on they call it Eversource now, Everclear, Eversource. They're Yankee Gas.
Is there a payback period on that, Mark?
I believe that is rolled into our bills. Yes, I do believe. Do you remember that?
So, I imagine that we're doing this to save on energy costs.
Yeah.
So how many years would it take to recoup this investment?
I think it was under 2. Didn't Joe say that?
I
Joe
believe
Bergraw?
so,
I think
It's
it's under 2 years.
It's good.
Yeah.
He just brought that up at the final CIP meeting.
That's what the red is, where you see the 100,000. That's
That's the money that
that's
they're
what
paying.
Eversource is going to
Right.
contribute, and we.
It's like the grant.
Yeah.
Subsidy.
So I think our $50,000 outlay is paid back in.
Should I just
under
look at
2
the
years.
black as the money that needs
Thank
to be
you.
funded this year, and the others
Yeah.
are kind of like
The black and the brown.
black and the brown?
Do you want to just go through that?
No, I was just from.
Yeah, yeah,
I want to.
No. I mean, I got confused too looking at it initially. It was like, can we cut some of this out? Well, it won't affect our budget. It's bonding stuff and it's grant and other sources. The generator for the Niantic Fire Department, you see a $50,000 cost there, and also for the Grand Street Department building, $46,000. They're generators that just need to be done. You'll see it's in purple. Purple
Right, so
means it's
that's-
LoSiP funds, so it's coming from the state.
So that balance we're bringing over is, what was that, 70-something thousand? That's
It's-
going to go toward this stuff, right?
Exactly.
Okay. You guys, you remember that? The balance?
Just a couple weeks ago, we did that.
We had that balance in LoSiP coming,
Mm-hmm.
so these all
What was the
qualify.
balance?
What was it, 70-something thousand we had coming over?
About 72,000.
All right.
And that's going to go back in the.
Doing these projects.
And we didn't reduce that, did we? No.
The town hall is in desperate need of an HVAC control system. You see $38,500 there, and again out of LoSiP. We've spent days and days during this cold winter without heat. Poor working conditions. I mean, in the public world, in the private sector, that wouldn't happen. Send your employees home, but here we are. We're going to get a new HVAC system. And you have meetings in here. Sometimes you're too hot, but most times you're too cold. So that's going to come out of the LoSiP funding as well. Sealtown brick block buildings, 12 Roxbury Road, Niantic Fire Department, LoSiP project. sealing the bricks. HVAC pump replacement town-wide, that's just money we put in for HVAC systems. Various town-wide roof replacement, that's again a fund that we just keep funding for when we need to. I'll stay with just this year. There is a Sallyport situation. I'll stay with this. In the purple, the police department Sallyport, we have $75,000 there. It's temporary building.
Yeah.
We don't know. We can't put the Sallyport in until we know where the police are going to be.
Right.
They might be in this building someday. We're not sure. But in order to go to an independent police force, we need a jail cell, and we need a Sallyport. And it's possible we could rent space at another in Waterford, and just pay per night like a motel. When we have someone to lock up, we pay them, and that until we figure out our town building situation, that would be the case. But just so you know what that is. I'll go down to planning. The Board of Selectmen changed that $8,000 to $7,500 on the GIS upgrade. I'll flip the page now. Police Department, 2 patrol vehicles at $35,000 each. You see that cost is spread out over 5 years. That's just the cost for the vehicle. You'll see another thing for the outfitting of the vehicles. There is a police detective vehicle, which would just be a minimal car for $26,000. That, again, the cost is spread out over 5 years. We have a situation where we have a couple parole cars. We have, say 10 or 12 in our system. We have some cars that the laptops don't work in them anymore. They're not necessarily coming up on a replacement situation, but we need to replace some laptops immediately because that's how our police officers communicate at this point. They pull a car over, they need to look things up in the car. So we've identified a $30,000 need. We're spreading that over the next 2 fiscal years. You'll see a $40,000 cost coming out of the Brown
CNRE.
CNRE.
That's for the new cars, right?
And that's for the new cars, the 2 that we were talked about up top. That's to outfit them. That's to put the lights in, the sirens, the new computers, everything they need, the radios, and the cages, of course, and in cameras nowadays too, in all the vehicles. And committed acquisition payments for vehicles is $74,507. That's obviously vehicles we've already purchased over the years. Again, stop me if you need.
What do we say? The 2 patrol cars that are coming off, we're taking the cages out, right? The new cages won't fit in the new vehicles. But weren't we reusing those 2 patrol cars?
K9?
Weren't they be
For the K9 units.
Okay.
They're older vehicles, and we're replacing 2 of the old ones. And that was for the K9 specifically. And they have special equipment packages that are different than a typical patrol car. Well, there's a temperature thing in there. You're leaving your dog in the car, and if it gets too warm, the windows automatically roll down.
Something for the ball to put
things
on
like
the
that.
window.
The Niantic Fire Department, the fire chief vehicle, we're currently paying on. Scott Air Pack acquisition program that we're currently paying on. Previously approved. The Flanders Fire Department is in need. They're in their 24th year of the truck, the ladder truck. It's a large purchase. Next year, you'll see that they need 2 more vehicles.
Question on that tower truck. Is that the ladder, what they refer to as the
big
ladder?
The big ladder truck.
Yeah.
Was there any investigation as to whether we could have gotten maybe one that was 10 years old from another wealthier municipality? Or this is for a brand new one, I'm assuming?
Yeah,
So,
you're
I mean, what
reading out of my
happens-
playbook. It's exactly what I said. And, if nothing else, maybe having an independent source come in and look at the hydraulics. At some point, it has to be OSHA approved. It has to meet all the inspections. And you can imagine with one of those ladder trucks especially, and I know nothing about this, But, there's hydraulics involved with these big, heavy ladders and people that will be on this. So, of course they have to meet inspection. But is there a way to retrofit? Is there a way to take off the ladder in the hydraulic system and put a new ladder package on a truck that probably has a pretty good engine because it probably doesn't have too many miles on it?
Exactly.
So it's something we'll investigate before we bring this before the boards in the town.
Additionally, I've gone online several times during my years on this board because this thing keeps coming up. And I've looked online for used fire trucks.
Yeah.
And there are many.
Yeah.
There are many sites that you can go and look at used ladder trucks. Same thing, by the way, with dump trucks.
Yeah.
With not very many miles on them, etc.
Right.
So there are sites that you can go look at for things like that.
Yeah, it's something that we're going to need. We put the price in, and that's what it is right here for the new. But before we go to through the commissions, we are going to do a whole lot of investigating and a whole lot of conversation.
How much, and again, I'm like you, I don't know, and
Yeah.
Ray seemed to know a lot more. And obviously, when there's any fire of substance, we see multiple towns respond. So, I mean, has there ever been, or is there any history of some collaboration between adjoining towns for?
No. Not even between the, yes, they all come together. And certainly Niantic and Flanders work together when they need to, but they are two distinct, different departments. It's a difficult subject matter.
Right.
It's a difficult conversation, let's put it that way, and it seems to be inevitable in that community. It's something that might happen someday. You might see that, but then there's the response time, and it's the safety issue, and if your family's in the building that's burning, and we have to bring a ladder truck from Old Saybrook, is that the right thing to be doing? Is I don't know. We have two great police fire departments, districts. We got to give them the equipment they need. It has to be safe. These are our people on there. They're our employees, and they're saving our loved ones. But we got to do it economically. We got to do it efficiently. We got to do it prudently. We can't cut corners, but we can find the right way through this, and we will. We'll have that conversation.
Well,
I assure you.
Next year you're looking at
two more.
Some pumpers. Okay.
Yeah.
Big bucks.
Well, we got an
And-
N-trick bag before.
And as I remember, those pumpers don't have a lot of miles on them. It's the pumps that
Right.
the
Right.
problem is.
Right.
It's the equipment that goes on the bodies.
And in as much as I spent 30 years in, most of it in submarine repair,
Right.
I never met a pump that couldn't be fixed.
Right.
All right.
Overhauled, brought back to brand new conditions.
Well, I think that happened with the last one, right? Didn't New
I
London
think
buy our
they did.
last one, and then it's recertified? So, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
we're all talking about the same thing with different
Yeah, it's
examples.
amazing.
Let's research it, see if stuff
It will.
can be
Well-
recertified. If
It is
not,
amazing to me that 40 or 50-year-old planes can still fly in the sky,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't be going up unless they were certified.
Of course, don't tell Harrison Ford that, but but I agree and I concur. The question or the difficulty I'm going to have, the challenge I can anticipate is I'm sitting in that office with a budget that's been approved, and then I need $15,000 for a consultant to come out and talk to me about these 3 trucks. And do we go full time? Do we go used or new? Do we do reconditioned? Do we send the ladder truck out to be rehydraulicked? Where do I come up with that money to do that? I don't know. Maybe we take it off of this. I don't know, but we'll figure that out.
We'll get Chuck
And we'll work-
Holyfield
We'll work
in on it.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah.
on. He's in on it. Trust
All
me.
right, good.
He's a
we go
wealth
to
of
the Board
knowledge.
of Ed.
I'm going to move the turnout gear you see as well. I don't want to pass it by. They need 4 full sets of turnout gear.
Right.
They typically put this in. Emergency management, the radio system, the new antenna and simulcast, all system antenna. I think this is a payment that it's an ongoing payment. And they have a vehicle acquisition program